nobody like this. You ain't seen nobody like this. You hear my sound all over town singing. Whoa. You ain't seen nobody like this. You ain't seen nobody like this. You hear my sound all over town singing. Whoa. I think there's something in the water. If you wanna take a sip, but be careful what you wish for. The faint of heart can't handle it. Everybody wants a piece of someone else's prize, but it ain't free, it don't come cheap. Only the strongest will survive. You ain't seen nobody like this.
Good evening and welcome to San Antonio Soccer Roundtable. I am your host, Harry. Rafa, how are you?
Pretty good. Try to stay dry these last couple of days of the rain.
So AJ had practice on Monday. He plays for SA City Club. Rained out on Tuesday. Rained out on Wednesday for SA City. Had it played today. It was all nice, and this afternoon was nice. And then I guess this weekend it's supposed to get a little bit cold and wet again. So we will see how that goes here. How are you doing though, as far as outside of your travels here for work and stuff?
Yeah, well, I'll travel again on Friday, so I'll be in Lockhart, and then staying the night in Bastrop, and then Saturday I'll be in Austin, and then I come back. And then I have another big trip after that, and just basically been watching just some games. I watched today's game, the World Club, the FIFA World Club Cup game for Real Madrid.
Did they win?
Yeah, 4-1.
When Seattle went out, I was like, Although there was an upset yesterday, though.
Yeah. The team that they're going to face in the final, the team from Saudi Arabia, knocked off Flamengo, the Copa Libertadores. That was a shocker there.
That's a huge upset.
Mm-hmm.
So the Sounders played the wrong team, I guess, right?
Yeah.
So, all right, so let's get to it here. No Rafa's power rankings, although we'll kind of maybe tease some things here. I did put the last rankings on here. Last week's show, we kind of got called out just because there really wasn't a whole lot of action for that here. So it got kind of crammed into this last week here, right? Where teams played multiple games. And, are they going to make them up later in the year? We'll find out. But for that here. So let's get started with some TAPPS here. TAPPS is very, very, very close to the playoffs for that here. And I guess we can kind of semi-announce it that probably next Thursday or Friday we may have a bracketology for TAPPS only, because we've done it for the UIL, but we have not done it for TAPPS. So we're looking to do that here for that. So if you want to be on the TAPPS preview show for the playoffs here, please reach out to us, especially Rafa, and we can definitely he needs all the advice to be able to make the selections, because all I do is check the box and move forward and look at schedules as he's kind of debating things here. So in the green here, you're going to see for that here, unfortunately, not unfortunately, in Region 1, everybody makes the playoffs for that here. So it's the OFRA playoffs, and this goes for both the boys and the girls. Looking at it, though, I did kind of set up the playoff bracket here, just as it is at this point here. Hold on one second here. My screen went down here. You can see for here, so Central Catholic would have a bye all the way to the regionals. On the second side, Antonio, and if they finish second, would have a bye all the way to the regionals. And then let's see here. I think that's the two big ones for San Antonio, right?
Yeah.
St. Prius. And then go back to. So the rest.
St. Pius is on third, so they'll get the third, whatever third seed they play.
Same thing. Yeah, St. Pius gets a bye, and they'll play the winner right now of Bishop Lunch High School out of Dallas and Cathedral High School out of El Paso, who play in the bye district round and then to the area match. So it is, but we're prepping on for the bracketology here. I guess for Region 1, Central Catholic 7-1, Antonian 5-3 in district. I think both of them are fairly safe. Central Catholic has St. Thomas and Concordia Lutheran, and Antonian has the same teams, on Friday, Saturday for that here, and St. Thomas and Concordia play that third match on Valentine's Day. But the last week here, so I think obviously Central Catholic is probably locked into the number 1 seed. Antonian could slip. If things don't go their way, but I think with them playing the 2 bottom teams, you would expect for them to be able to finish in that second slot, right?
Yeah, and I mean Central Catholic. I know they had a loss over the weekend, but they did a split in Houston. But I think one more win, they'll pretty much clinch that top seed, which would be great for them because they're going to have a couple buys. As easier, not saying an easier path, but it's a less stressful path to get to the try to get to the final again. Antonian needs to maintain that 2 spot, so at least they can get a game off to but they'll still have a tough challenge with with either Bishop Lynch or El Paso. So if they can 2 winnable games this weekend, like I said, they can finish runner up. But like I said, they're just 1 game. St. Pius is just 1 game behind, so one little slip could end up flip flopping them in those seedings. So like I mentioned, everybody's in the playoffs for Division 1. So I'm surprised Upper Roofing doesn't sponsor the tournament, but. But it'll be interesting because you can never know, you can never know what can happen. Something if you can get hot at the right time, even towards one of the last 2 games, that could be a momentum. Going into get some good momentum, and you never know. You can knock off some people and catch them on a bad day. So it's a tricky tournament, kind of compare what we have in the UIL. Here's, like I said, everybody has a chance. A 5-13 team could end up winning it all if they get hot.
Get hot and get healthy, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So Region 2, Division 4 for the boys, Brownsville, St. Joseph Academy, 8-1, TMI, 7-1, and then there's a drop off. S.A. Christensen, Laredo, and then St. Mary's Hall. The Barons at 4-6. Looking at the schedule for St. Mary's, they get at St. Anthony and then San Antonio Christian, so kind of goes against them on trying to get in with the local rivalry. St. August, TMI. There's a little bit of confusion on the schedule. One schedule TMI lists TMI playing Cornerstone, but if you go to the Brownsville St. Joseph Academy, shows that they're playing at TMI. So who knows? In regards
that could be a makeup game.
Yeah, it's so I'm not sure what what there is, but it does show that TMI is down a match. So I could believe that they are playing. If they are playing the Brownsville St. Joseph, that could that could put them into the number 1 seed coming out of Region 2 Division 4.
Yeah, and like I said, if TMI can knock off, like I said, St. Joseph's get that number 1 spot, and I'm sure they'll get a good seeding in the playoffs. St. Mary's Hall's not done yet. I know they're a couple of games behind Laredo St. Augustine. If St. Augustine happens to lose out, and St. Mary's Hall can win at least 2, they are going to have to knock out San Antonio Christian in that last game. That's going to be a pivotal game for them. But if they can win those last 2, they'll sneak in and get that last playoff spot.
So moving on to my little button here to Region 3, Division 4, Region 3, Division 4, District 4. I guess I said not division. District 4. Corpus Christi's 7-1. New Braunfels Christian Academy 7-1. The Atonement 6-2, and Corpus Christi St. John Paul II at 4-3, and then Geneva and Kerrville 3-5, 3-4, and then Church John Paul second to Guardians at 2-6.
Yeah. This was a unique district because they do have they have a district tournament. So seeding was going to be very important on this, and this will determine who, from what I saw on Twitter, like who, I'm sure like Corpus Christi is going to play Holy Cross, and you have your 1 versus 8, your 4 versus 5, and it's opportunity. Like I said, it's still an opportunity to get into one of the top 4 spots. Like whoever makes the semifinals is pretty much guaranteed a playoff spot, and then even an opportunity even to still win a district title. So, like I said, we'll see how that district tournament happens. I think it's probably going to be this coming weekend. I can hear you.
It's being played right now. I saw some results, but I couldn't find anything concrete to kind of explain what it was. And not all teams had it, so it was a little scattered. So unfortunately, schedule wise, technically there wasn't anything on the official team schedule that was consistent for that here. Along those lines, boys, right? 1 second here.
Yes.
Division 3 to 4. I was trying to see. So, like so according to St. Joseph's Academy, I'm actually looking for like the Atonement Academy, right?
Mm-hmm.
So looking at their schedule, and this is what kind of confused me about it. In the first round of district, it says they lost to Our Lady of the Hills, but in the second round they beat, and this was on February 6th, they beat John Paul to the shirt, JP2 shirts 1-0, and then they played JP2 Corpus Christi in the third round. So I just couldn't find anything that could.
It shows like the brackets.
Yeah, with the brackets now, looking at, New Braunfels Christian Academy, they beat, Holy Cross, they beat JP2 Corpus Christi, and they're to be determined on the 15th for the title here. Let's see, in Carson Edward. Yeah, so they beat, so the Corpus Christi and Carson Word Academy beat JP2 1-0 and Our Lady of the Hills 6-1. So just there wasn't a rhyme or reason to be able to kind of figure out how to correlate it, because Geneva lost to JP2 Corpus 1-5, but beat Holy Cross, and now they play Our Lady of the Hills. So it just for me, trying to do the legwork on here, I couldn't figure out a rhyme or reason for it. So moving over to the ladies, St. Agnes 8-0, St. Prius 8-3, Antonian 7-2, who was your 8th ranked team in the Power 15. Ignarderword 4-4, for that here. So for the San Antonio teams, they're going to make the playoffs, probably as a mid seed here. It looks like here, because I don't think Antonian still has the possibility of moving into that 2nd seed.
Mm-hmm.
They play Concordia Lutheran, St. Agnes, and at San Antonio and Cardinward. So that St. Agnes match would be a huge match for them to be able to go. St. Prius only plays one time at Houston and Cardinward for that here as well. So you figure that they would win. That would put them at approximately 9-3. So if Antonian was able to win their 3 matches, it is possible that they could move into that 2nd slot, but they would have to beat a team that hasn't been beaten so far in district play at this point.
Yeah, it'll be beneficial for them, especially the seeding. We saw on the boys' side, there'll be a benefit, for the Lady Apaches to get a good seeding. Carnarvon needs to kind of win some games, to stay in that 4th seed. You don't, especially if you're the higher seed, I think you do get to host a game. So that comes into play there. too. So whoever's the higher seed, you get to host, and then having a home game is a big thing for, especially here in the TAPPS playoffs, especially the distance that you might have to travel too.
So on the girls' side here, it's a little setup's a little bit different here for that here. So only the number one seed gets a bye. So St. Agnes has it till the regional for that here. So Incarnate would be if they finish in the fourth slot, which I think most likely they will. They would host. I'm assuming because they're playing the 1-5.
Mm-hmm.
Trinity Christian Academy out of Addison. And Antonian would play Nolan Catholic High School out of Fort Worth, so we know how those schools travel down. So, and then they would get the winner of Bishop Lunch High School out of Dallas, or the Village School, which would most likely be Bishop Lunch, away. So, if they can get into that second slot, it already gets there, and then you're playing Concordia Lutheran or Parish Escobal out of Dallas, a 4-5. Somebody that finished 4-5 as opposed to somebody that finishes second in their district, if they get by Nolan Catholic. So for Antonian to be able to get that, you'd be able to try to move up into that second slot, or actually second slot over there would get Prestonwood Christian Plano,
Mm-hmm.
and then they would get John Paul second Plano or Incarnate Word out of Houston. So sorry, they don't have the ability to get to the first seeds.
So that might be a better route for them to go through that, and I know Incarnate will probably have a tall task, especially with the Dallas area teams for TAPPS. They've been dominating, this division. You have maybe
the
this is the year.
Ursuline won it last year, right? If
Yeah,
memory serves
Ursuline.
right.
But Ursuline's though they did lose to Salina, so that shows that they're not invincible. I mean, who knows? St. Agnes could be, they could be the team that challenges them. But like I said, yeah, Bishop Lentz, but maybe Antonian gets a little hot streak here, and they're gonna have to knock. Like I said, with the where they're at right now, they're gonna have to knock up some top teams. But if you can knock out some top teams, that's a great confidence booster going into the final.
So moving on to Region 2, Division 4 for the girls. San Antonio Christians clinched the number one seed. San Antonio St. Anthony 5-4. TMI 5-2 at this point here, so they've still got some matches. And then Coach Cano St. Mary's Hall 4-4. So I think pretty secure in getting playoffs at this point. Victoria St. Joseph's 1-5, 0-5. Looking at the schedules, San Antonio Christian plays St. Augustine and TMI. St. Anthony plays TMI. TMI has a busy week at St. Joseph, at St. Anthony's, and at San Antonio Christian. So a lot of away matches on there. And then St. Mary's just has the last one at St. Augustine. So
I think he also has one. They also have one game pending with I think with one of the Brownsville teams.
One of the Brownsville. Okay.
Yeah. So they have 2 games pending, so they can still move up to that second spot. If
things break right.
Yeah, because TMI still got to play San Antonio Christian. That's going to be a tough one.
And St. Anthony.
Yeah, and St. Anthony. St. Anthony also could, they can drop 2 and they drop 1 and they can end up falling in their seed. So that's, those 3 teams are still in the mix who can secure that second spot, which is going to be very important, especially here in the seeding for the playoffs.
Yeah, so right now, if things were how they were, I believe they made this trip last year. St. Mary's Hall would be traveling over to Katy to play St. John XX111. So that's what, 23? I got that 23rd. Right?
St. John the 23rd.
St. John's the 23rd. CP. If results held it here, TMI would play Lutheran South out of Houston. San Antonio Christian would get the Emery Weiner out of Houston, and St. Anthony would play Fort Bend Christian out of Sugar Land for that here. So there's no bye weeks here. So the Region 2 D4 will kick off on the 21st for that here, based on the pre pre-tournament,
Mhm.
not standings, brackets.
Bracket.
What I was thinking for that here. So no bye weeks. So, but you definitely don't want to be playing the number 1 seed out of District 5.
So yeah, it's important getting, like I said, getting into the top 2 because it guarantees you a home playoff game in the first round. And so, and then like that traveling out to Houston's because it's a long way, to
Well, if
go there.
memory serves me right, last year they had a tough match, and I'm not saying that they were undone by a call, but there was in talking with Coach Kano, he felt that being away definitely impacted the result of that game.
Yeah.
I'll just say along those lines here. And then moving to Region 3, D4. Church John Paul II, number 19 in Rafa's power rankings. 7-0 Geneva. Wondering if we're going to have to start showing them a little bit of love.
They'll probably get some love.
14-1, 7-1 New Braunfels Christian. 4-3. The Atonement Academy hanging strong at 4-4, and Holy Cross outside shot of sneaking in at 2-3 for it here. So looking at they're playing the district tournament here. So let's see if I can try to make any sense out of theirs here. Let's see here.
More likely the favorite to win that, if they are doing the district tournament, it's going to be Shirts JP the second, because they actually went a little through the gauntlet, knocking off Braunfels Christian and Geneva, because they had to Geneva's first loss. So I'm sure.
And looking at the district tournament, because Geneva, looking here, they played. Says district tournament John Paul II. They won 10-0, and then in district tournament, then John Paul II. Oh, so it's Corpus Christi John Paul II that they did, and then they beat New Braunfels Christian Academy 6-0. It is scheduled on here February 13th. John Paul II Shirts at JP, at John Paul, at the home field for John Paul. So I guess if Geneva wins, they would be in the number 1 seed based on what you're saying. If not, they're probably locked into the number 2 seed.
Yeah.
So I guess the one we need to look at is the Atonement Academy to see how.
And New Braunfels Christian to see where they're at.
So.
And I'm sure more likely they're probably gonna be in.
So the Atonement played. Holy Cross beat them 2-0. Lost to John Paul II, second the Shirts 1-6 or 6-1. They play on tomorrow. John Paul II out of Corpus for the 3rd district, and then it says for the 3rd seed on the 14th. So I guess if they win that match against John Paul II Corpus, then they would go possibly for the 3rd seed for that. Here's the 3rd and 4th. So
that would be with New Braunfels Christian.
Well, they have a game against Holy Cross, so yeah, most likely, yeah. So I'm assuming that those two would play since the two top teams played here. So, but Geneva and JP2 pretty much locked in 1-2. Question of how it'll finish, and then the Atonement Academy, you'd have to figure that they're favored against Corpus Christi St. John Paul II. And San Marcos Academy seems like they're out, but the Atonement Academy and Holy Cross, one of those two will get in, and New Braunfels Christian and Holy Cross, one of those two will get in. So.
And then recently, one of the players from Geneva just scored her 100th goal, so congratulations to her.
So moving over to UIL here, we're in district time for that here. So let's start out in the boys, Region 4, District 26. Bernie 3-0 in district. Davenport 2-1. Fredericksburg 2-1. Wimberley slipping down a little bit, 2-2. And then Canyon Lake 0-2 and Bandera 0-3. Looking at the schedule this week, Wimberley plays Bernie, so another tough one for them. And Davenport plays Canyon Lake and travels to Fredericksburg here. Bandera didn't have any matches scheduled here, but your thoughts so far on the 26 boys? Obviously, the Greyhounds racing out to an early lead, it looks like.
Yeah, that's what I was expected for them to win this district. I know they'll have a couple of challenges, maybe from Davenport and Wimberley. I'm not surprised Wimberley's kind of stumbled a little bit, but I think they'll bounce. But they got a tough one. I'm not saying it's a must win against at Bernie, but they really definitely need to get a positive result. Maybe like I said, even a tie to steal some points. But I think what you see on those four teams, those probably going to be your playoff teams. Canyon Lake, like I said, I know they're 0-2. You see they can bounce back from that. It's still a long season. Like I said, great start for Fredericksburg because they struggled early on, but they were able to get a couple of quality wins. So, this is a dogfight for this district's always a dogfight, even though Bernie's like I said, they're the defending back-to-back state champs. They're still going to get a challenge from some of these teams. They're not going to roll over. They're going to give everything they got. So, but it's a good start for Bernie. And we'll see how the others do as far as with the seedings with the 2, 3, and 4.
Moving to 27, Kennedy, 10-5-2, 2-0 in district. Lavernia only played one district game, 1-0. Memorial, Minutemen, your 14th seed, 1-1. Gonzales, Yoakum, and Fox Tech. Very early district in the time for 27B. Kennedy possibly replacing Memorial as far as in the Rafa rankings, or still to be determined.
I think it's still to be determined. I still think Lavernia is like I said, Lavernia played Monday night. They had a big win over Fox Tech. Right. So like I said, they're 2-0. I know they haven't got some of the updates yet, but we will. I think Memorial did beat Kennedy recently in district play, I believe, or they just played. I know they played recently. I'm not sure who got the win. I think Kennedy did beat Memorial. That's the loss that they have.
Hold on, I'll tell you here 1 second here. Mm-hmm. And like I said, these are through Max Prep, especially on this region. Through Max Prep, and I try to verify it a little bit through my essay. They lost on February 2nd to Kennedy 1-0 away. Memorial.
So good win for them on that one. That's a rivalry game because they're in the same school district. But
Memorial plays Lavernia. Looking at the schedule here. Lavernia plays Memorial and at Gonzales. Kennedy plays Yoakum and at Fox Tech, and that's on the 15th. Memorial just plays at Lavernia for that here, and then for that here. So Lavernia, Gonzales seems like it's kind of a sneaky trip here, where they may not get the classy wins, but looking at their scores, they play a very tight, very close game.
Yeah, they've been a good team those last few years. They've surprised some people. Even in the last district they were in, I remember talking to the Lavernia's coach last year. He mentioned about Gonzales being a real scrappy team that gives fits, and they've been giving fits in the playoffs. Looking at Lavernia's upcoming schedule, it's an opportunity here, kind of stretch, spread them, kind of separate themselves, where they can knock off Memorial and Gonzales, before they have that showdown with Kennedy. And so that's going to be probably the premier game for those two to see who takes over this district.
And Kennedy has the ability to play in, Yoakum and Fox Tech, the two teams currently outside of the playoffs for this district, to be able to kind of distance themselves, to be able to kind of secure that playoff slot as well for that here. Moving to 28, Floresville, 3-0. Hondo Owls, you've been kind of on their ride saying keep a lookout. They got off to a 2-0 start. Pleasanton, the other strong team, based on Rafa's preseason predictions, 2-1. Uvalde district play is starting to show up. Somerset, Poteet, and Pearsall. Actually, we were kind of concerned if they were going to play because they hadn't played any matches. Came to district, they did play, and it wasn't pretty. There's no way to sugarcoat it. Their first matches after teams have been playing 6, 7, 8 matches here or more for that here. To me, kind of a huge disservice to those kids, and I understand this is their first season. And we saw that kind of last year with Hondo, just kind of that learning curve.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, I'm kind of interested to go see that Poteet Pearsall match just to see how it works out, because somebody's got to win, or along those lines.
Yeah, like I said, with this district, you kind of had an idea of who were, you got some newer programs coming in. You look at the district schedule. That Floresville Pleasanton game is going to be a key. That's a key game there, especially for playoff seeding. Hondo has a good opportunity to go 4-0. They can. I'm sure they'll get a win against Pearsall. If they can knock off Uvalde, that's a big confidence booster for them, and they could be a threat for that district title against Floresville. Like I said,
even just to make the playoffs for their second year, and I know this isn't the strongest district, but still, that's a great, great accomplishment, for the Honda boys.
Yeah.
Yes, Austin, I did the right intro this time. For that here. So moving on to the ladies under here. Region 4, District 26, Bernie, Wimberley, Davenport. They were the 12th ranked team that had a little bit of a struggle at the start of district. Canyon Lake and Great Hearts, Northern Oaks got off to a 1-1 start here, kind of like the Pearsall path of playing when district gets around for the ladies here. So your thoughts on, obviously this is probably very top heavy with the top 3, but I'm assuming top 4 will most likely be set, barring something unforeseen with Northern Oaks, correct?
Yeah, I'm a little surprised the Fairchurch was down. They've had some real competitive teams, but like I said, this was probably the one. Like I said, for 4A girls soccer here in Region 4, this is probably the toughest district, and you're seeing it right there. Like I said, Davenport got a good result with that tie with Wimberley. Bernie just chugging along. It's like I said, it's going to come down to those 3 teams, as far as for the district title. Canyon Lake Ladyhawks, I think those shouldn't have no problem snatching up that 4th spot.
And Wimberley plays at Bernie, Northern Oaks for it here, and Davenport, Canyon Lake, Fredericksburg. Bandera is off. I'm not sure. I think both the boys and girls were off this week, which seemed a little bit odd, but
probably because of playoff buys. Oh, not buys. I don't know, because there's 7 teams, so. But they should have a game. Yeah, they should have a game the following
week, though.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there is. It was odd for me to see both of them, and they have played 4 games just like Bernie has.
Well, that key game is going to be Friday night, Wimberley at Bernie. That's probably one of the game of the weeks there, and that's going to determine who's kind of like the balance of power over that district. If Bernie can knock off, I know, like I said, Wimberley won the district last year. Is this the year Bernie kind of turns the tables on them and they win the district?
Moving to District 27 for the ladies here. Kennedy, 2-0. Lavernia, 1-0. SA Young Women's Leadership, 1-1. Memorial got their first win in district, 1-1. Yoakum, Gonzalez, and Fox Tech. Just the bottom of this district, like that 4th seed, is, or even the bottom 2. I think the top 2 are very clear with Kennedy and Lavernia. But the bottom, Rafa, you're gonna have to draw a name out of the hat for this one.
Yeah, like I said, I think the class of the district is going to be Lavernia and the Kennedy girls. A little surprised with Young Women's Leadership. They didn't do so last year. I think they probably got it together. This year they probably have a good squad, and they're kind of chugging along here in district. Memorial, I think what's helped them, even though they're at 1-11, but like I said, they're still 1-1 in district. So they must have played some really tough non-district games, and that's key. That could probably end up helping them, as far as here in district play. And Yoakum's got 2 ties. Who knows what, and that was, one a team with below them, one above them. Can't count them out. They could surprise them. They could sneak in and get that 4th spot. Same thing with the Gonzalez. They're within striking distance as well too. So, but like I said, the top
Still
2
early.
it's still early. Yeah.
Lavernia plays 3 matches: Memorial, Fox Tech, and Gonzalez. Yoakum plays at Kennedy. Fox Tech plays at Gonzalez, Lavernia. Young One Leadership didn't have anything scheduled. Fox Tech, Lavernia, along those lines here. So Lavernia's got a full week to kind of make up. For there, I'm wondering if this Fox Tech match was a makeup. Although I don't know if
I think they played yesterday. I think they played Monday night, I believe.
Okay. So, but according to the schedule, that's what they have here. 28 Pleasanton 3-0, Floresville 3-0, Somerset 2-1-1, Uvalde 1-1, which was kind of a surprise after last year where they kind of ran this. Hondo, Poteet, and Pearsall, the 3 bottom teams up. Just looking at kind of the schedules, the results so far here, I think the top 4, the order may not be set, but I think the top 4 teams are set, for District 28.
Yeah, for this district, I know Pleasanton's always, like I said, they've had a good program for 4 of the last few years. They've always been in a dogfight with Uvalde. I'm a little surprised Uvalde has a loss, but I think they'll bounce back. It's still early. Floresville, I think they're taking advantage of, dropping out from 5A to 4A. I think playing that tough district they were in last year with Medina Valley and Southwest and Harlandale, it's in McCollum, it's helped them. So they're probably, like I said, they're going to be a contention. Surprises Somerset girls, at 2-1-1, some good results there, and we'll see if they can keep it up and get a playoff spot at the end.
So Uvalde lost to Pleasanton, so that is why they have the L. So they went up against one of the top teams, per Rafa, and unfortunately came up a little bit short for that here. So, which Pleasanton's the class of the division. I guess would be kind of expected here for that here. Uvalde gets Somerset, Hondo. Pleasanton gets Floresville, Somerset. Pearsall gets Hondo and Poteet this week here. So that'll be interesting to see how that bottom shakes out. For that here, through that here. So, anything schedule wise stick out to you at this point, or
that Pleasanton Floresville game? That's going to be for that district league right there. Can Floresville knock off Pleasanton and take charge of this? Kind of separate themselves. In this district for the district lead. I'm sure the round 2 game is going to be just as good, but if you can steal a game away, it's going to be helpful towards the end.
So moving to 5A, Smithson Valley, 12-0, undefeated, number 3 in the power rankings, possibly moving up maybe.
Possibly.
Como Piper, 11-2, 4-0, maybe some love for them. Canyon Cougarettes, 3-1, number 14th. Burning Champion, 2-1-1. Kerrville Tivy off to a slow start in district at 1-2-1. They were the 15th ranked, in the Rafa power ranking here. So we'll have to see if they stay in, if maybe with a good week, or if they're going to slide out. Followed by Wagner, Veterans Memorial, and Seguin for that here. But I know you went up to Como Piper and saw the Lady Warriors. Your thoughts from the trip? I was up there earlier in the year. To me, one of the best new facilities, and I know Texas is doing a lot of nice new facilities, but that one was nice. So and they're showing on the field both the boys. We haven't got to the boys yet, but the boys are doing pretty well as well.
Yeah, that was a great experience. This was my second time going to that, because last year me and Coach Kano went to the playoff game for Reagan, and Spencer Valley last year. I was very impressed by the Lady Warriors. They dominant game versus the Vernon Memorial Patriots. For a very young team, they've really, this for them being the first year on varsity, very impressed. Like I said, the sky's the limit with this team. They're going to surprise some teams, and they're probably the one team you may want to play in the playoffs. Because they have the pedigree. Saw a lot of the movement, the touch of the ball, the technical play, and they had a big win last night against Comal, the Canyon Cougars.
The Canyon Cougars,
which I've seen Canyon play too, and they're a great team too as well. So to go on the road to Canyon and get a win, that's impressive, and we'll see it once further down the road when they have that showdown with their sister school with Swenson Valley. Canyon, like I said, they'll bounce back from that loss. What I'm a little concerned about is with Bernie Champion. They've struggled. I know they've played probably one of the most brutal pre-district schedule you can think of. I know they had a little setback, but I think they'll still be in the mix. And I'm a little disappointed with Tybee down. Trying to, like I said, maybe they'll bounce back. With a win over Wagner. But yeah, Bernie Champion versus Piper this weekend. That's the key game there. If Piper can get a win on that game, that's gonna be a big notch on their on their belt there as far as key wins and so forth. So I think we lost Harry there, but that's a great. Like I said, it's one of the toughest districts for 5A. You have 4 quality teams there. Like I said, you have a regional finalist. I mean, the team that won the region, which was Burning Champion. I think they'll bounce back. I think they'll get things together, but Spencer Valley's just rolling along too as well.
Yeah, hold on a minute here. There we go. And then, to me, I don't know if you saw this, but Burning Champion plays Como.
Spencer Valley on Valentine's Day.
Well, they play that, and then
Piper beforehand. Yeah, they got it. They have the. It's going to be.
That's schedule does not get easier.
Yeah, I mean, this is it. This is the week for them to really, like I said, these 2 games, to kind of bounce back. If they can steal one at Piper and win one at home against Vincent Valley, they're back in it. But if they lose these 2 games, it's a big setback for them. That'll keep Kerrville Tybee alive, to fight for that 4 spot.
Well, Kerrville Tybee has an interesting thing too, because they get Wagner, which you would expect that they would win. Mm-hmm. But if they could upset Piper, that puts them kind of back in the mix.
Yeah, they're getting back in the mix.
Depending on how
so it's
Burning Champion.
Yeah, but to me, like I said, I think right now the clear favorite right now is Spencer Valley, but just keeping your eye on the Piper, and then a little shout out to the parents too after the game. Showing some love, support. Thank you guys. Also, they send me a lot of stuff on Instagram, so thank you for the Piper parents. So, good luck to you guys in this coming week. But like I said, this district, what can you say? It's loaded with talent.
Is Piper your new Dripping Springs?
No, I think it's Smithson Valley.
Smithson Valley.
I think it's Spencer Valley. They're part of my new Dripping Springs, but don't count out the other 3, other 3 teams, because you saw what Burning Champion did at Dripping Springs on the playoffs. So I think with these, you're playing high caliber games that you'll probably see in the playoffs, is going to get you ready for that. And, they'll be surprised these 4 teams can, do some damage, in the playoffs, and maybe have all 4 of them in the regional quarterfinal.
So moving to Region 4, District 27 for the girls, Alamo Heights 6-0, Jefferson 5-1, MacArthur 5-2, Edison, Highlands 3-2, 3-3, and then it kind of dips from there with Burbank, Sam Houston, Brackenridge, and Lanier. Lanier's off to a rough start here. Hopefully they can get a victory somewhere in district to put one on the win column here, but. Everybody predicted Alamo Heights was going to run away with it, and they haven't quite ran away with it. But Jefferson and MacArthur are kind of hanging in there. Looking at the schedule, Alamo Heights plays Brackenridge, Sam Houston, MacArthur plays at Highlands, and Jefferson plays at Brack this week here. So, your thoughts on 27 girls?
Well, Alamo Heights kind of made a statement last night with a 4-1 or 4-0 win over MacArthur. That was kind of like the key game for that district, to see where MacArthur was going to be at. And like I said, they've already got 2 losses. Like I said, with the top 2 teams in the district, no shame on that. So Jefferson, we'll see if they can bounce back. I know they'll have another showdown with Alamo Heights, but I still think Alamo Heights is going to probably run away with this district. Edison. I think it's going to come down to Edison and Highlands as far as that 4th spot. I think Edison has the edge because they were a playoff team last year. Very good team too, as well. They had some good wins. So keep an eye on them. They could surprise, MacArthur or even Jefferson at any time.
And second here, looking at 28 Southwest, 3-0-1, Medina Valley 3-1, Harland 2-1-1. And then it kind of jumbles up with Southside, Southwest Legacy, McCollum, even South San got a point here, and Eagle Pass win on the outside looking in, but a couple of good results could change that. Harlandale gets at Eagle Pass on Saturday, and then Southwest on Valentine's. That's going to be a big match, especially on the boys' side. Medina Valley gets Southwest Legacy and Southside here. Let's see here. Southwest gets South San and Harlandale for that here. But your thoughts on 28?
Yeah, I'm a little surprised the Southwest got a tie. I don't know who they tied. Was it Harlan? It's not Harlan. They might have gone with probably Southside, I believe, because they just recently played them.
I can tell you here 1 second here. Let's see here, Region 4, 5A28. Oh, no. 5A28. Oh, hold on. It's giving me a mess here. Girls soccer, Southwest. Southwest drew. Why am I not pulling this up? I don't know why I'm struggling all on this one. Yeah, it had to be Southside on the 7th. Hold on. Let me go back to Max Prep. Make sure on boys. Let me switch the girls. I wish there was a little bit easier way to.
Yeah, I'm looking at here. Yeah, they did tie with Southside. They tied actually 0-0, which was a surprise there.
According to Max Prep, so
yeah, according to Max Preps, yeah, they tied 0-0.
So yeah, well, it's got to be because there's a score reported. If there was no score through there, so
which what bodes well for Medina Valley because they had a close game with Southwest, even though they had a loss with them. That's like I said, they're still only a half a game behind them, so that could come back and haunt Southwest in that second round. Because if Medina Valley can knock them off at home, they can leapfrog them into in the lead for that district title. So it's going to come down to those two teams, and then the like I said, Harlandale. I think they're bouncing back. Great result for Southside. Get a tie with the district leader, was probably won consecutive district games for a while. That
right,
kind of a little first blemish on them. Legacy, they're still in the hunt. Same thing with McCollum. So, like I said, at Southside and Southwest Legacy, McCollum will be in the hunt for the last playoff spot.
Even South San's still in it, as well here.
Yeah, they're within points. Yeah.
So Eagle Pass is really, with 3 losses, really the only one that's, and even then, with that 4th slot, still within striking distance.
Yeah.
Let me see here. We already went over that. So moving to the boys' side here, Piper, 15th rank. I have a feeling they're going to be moving up. 13-2-1, 4-0. Burning Champion 13th, 7-0-2, 4-0. Smithson Valley 9-5-1. They're starting to heat up, 4-0. Canyon 2-2. Kerrville, Wagner, Seguin, Veterans Memorial. All goose egg so far in the win column here at this point here. So this seems like a district that's very heavy at the top, and it'll be interesting with Kerrville and Canyon to see if they can kind of get some pelts on there outside of the top 3.
Yeah, we got a big game coming up this week with Piper at Burning Champion. That's for the district lead right there. Piper can make a statement here. Good to go to Bernie, steal one from them, and then to go to Kerrville again the following week, get another big win to kind of start distancing themselves a little bit.
Burning Champion though with Piper and Smithson Valley though, right?
Yeah,
that's 2-4. That basically Burning Champion gets both of the top, other 2 that are 4-0 as well this week. So
they could literally drop down back to the 4th spot. Like say if Canyon gets their 2 win. They say, well, they got Simpson Valley, so that's gonna be a tough one for them. but they can still be in range for that 4th spot. With maybe a 1 game. Like I said, Burning Champion is gonna have to run the gauntlet here this next 2 games, but they can make a statement here. I know last year was a disappointing season, but if they can win these 2 games, they'll have control of that district lead. But like I said, Piper's been on a roll. It's going to be a great game on this weekend for them. And I don't know if Kerrville and Wagner kind of dug themselves already a big hole to catch up to that 4th spot. We'll see. It's like I say, it's still early, but when you're down 3, those 3 games in district play, it's tough to kind of to come up, especially you still have to play some of the top teams ahead of you.
Do you give Kerrville any shot to try to catch Canyon, or you think there is a little bit of a that gap might be too big in this district to make up?
They're gonna have to knock off one of the top 4 teams. They're gonna have to either get some points, like a tie or a win, to really kind of dig in, because I'm sure they can. Those games, the teams be behind them, which is Wagner,
Seguin, and Veterans
Memorial. Those are probably winnable games for them. But they're going to have to knock off some teams ahead of them in order to try to get that 4th spot.
Try to make up those games. So moving to 27 boys, Alamo Heights 7-0, Brackenridge 5-1, Jefferson 5-1, Edison 4-1, the Brahmas 3-4, the Hurricanes from Sam Houston 2-4, Burbank, and then Lanier and Highlands. For that here, and hopefully Highlands can get a win in district to get one in the W column. But 6th ranked for Alamo Heights, class of this division, like we expected here. Brackenridge, Jefferson, any surprises or kind of what you expected? I'll throw Edison in there as well, just because they're 4-1.
Yeah, the one I'm surprised is like maybe Lanier and Sam Houston, which were 2 playoff teams last year.
But
they're struggling right now. Edison, like I said, I think ever since that game, that comeback win against Davenport, the one I got to live stream, I think that's built confidence for them. But like I said, they got some tough games coming up. Like Brackenridge got some tough ones. They got Jeff, and they got Alamo Heights. They could drop a couple places there. Edison, like I said, they could I think they can take care of business with Sam Houston, and then we'll see from there to kind of move up. I think the key for here is for these, for Brack, Jeff, and Edison is trying to get that 2nd seed. That's going to be very important because they're going to have
host, right?
Yeah, that way you can host, yeah. And especially since they're going to run into that with 28-5A, it's important that you can host one of those games.
So speaking of 28-5A, Harlandale 15-1-1. Is this kind of the Southwest story of a couple of years ago, where they've got just the great record, but you mentioned light on the resume. Southwest, the number 3 team, 11-1, 4-0. Legacy, 3-1. Eagle Pass win, 3-1. Medina Valley, a little bit shocking at 1-2-1. I would have thought, and then South Sands, south side of McCollum, struggling in district play. You and I have kind of circled this match for a while. Harlandale Southwest on Valentine's Day for that here. With Harlandale happen to travel to Eagle Pass, does that play any part into it or no? Just I know it's a bus ride. You figure a day trip, nothing major, but does that play a part?
Well, that could be a trap game for them because you look at CC Win. They're in the mix as far as in the playoff spots, and they go down there to Eagle Pass. They could surprise. They had a big win this past weekend. They could surprise. Harlandale. Harlandale, maybe they cannot look past CC Win. For the game coming up with Southwest, and that could be their trap game. Like I said, I'm looking for like that South. Like I said, we'll see what Harlandale has going into with Southwest, but keep an eye on CC Win. Like I said, they may throw a mucking wrench on Harlandale. That hopefully they haven't. They got to be focused. You can't take anybody lightly. I think this district's really improved, as you can see from the years before.
Depth,
yeah, it's more. There's more depth and there's more competitiveness on this district. So there are not going to be any gimme games this time around. So, like I said, and then also I'm a little surprised with even Medina Valley kind of struggling a little bit, but they got 2 winnable games coming up. They try to get bounced back. South San, I know they dropped down from 6A to 5A, but they got a tall task on Friday against Southwest. So I don't see, and the Southwest should take care of business on that game.
Should, and like I said here, I asked you this up front here, just for the Harlandale fans here, because they did have them rated 10th. Looking at the schedule, does that automatically mean they're going to move up? Because there has been some movement throughout the Rafa Power 15, and with the 15-1-1 record, one of probably the best records over in the area. But Rafa, basically is giving Harlandale the Southwest treatment of about 2 to 3 years ago, where they haven't played anybody allegedly for that here. So, but for Rafa's rankings, just letting you know, Harlandale, a lot's riding on this week.
This week, yeah, it's a lot riding this week.
You come away with 4 points between Eagle Pass win and Southwest. I think you might improve. If you come away with just 3 points or less, we'll see if we'll see what happens.
Because Southwest hasn't lost a district game maybe 3-4 years.
Yeah, we've been doing this. It's got to be it's got to be at least 3 years.
Yeah, since the pandemic.
Yeah, because it was before. You and I had discussions about, because I've always been Team Southwest, about, hey, they should be rated higher in your rankings. And you're like, but they haven't played. And then when it comes playoff time, prior to last year, they always had that early knockout. Now, last year they went, I think, probably appropriate, as far as expectations. They had a winnable game, where they could have moved on, but it was a respectable way to go out in the playoffs. I think it was third round where they went out.
They lost the second round, I think, to Georgetown.
Georgetown. So, but they beat the team in the Valley, which I think they played a team in the Valley last year, right?
No, they played someone from 27 5A. But the year before, they lost to the Valley team, which they should have won that game.
So this is a district that I'm a little bit soft on. Matt mentioned the South San Harlandale will be a good rivalry battle for that here. So South San's got to get a little bit better record there, Matt. Hate to tell you. Moving to 6A for that here. So looking at the boys, we'll just ignore Cibolo Steel here. That was the 11th ranked team here, and it's only one district game played. But Judson and New Braunfels Unicorns each 1-0. Clemens and San Marcos drew their match. And Steele and East Central 0-1. Looking at the matchup here, Steele plays San Marcos and East Central. Judsons get Clemens, which is a rivalry game, and San Marcos for that here. So poor East Central getting New Braunfels and Steele. So tough matchups for them. But your thoughts on 27 boys, and this is the district I say every time. Dripping Springs should be in it, but we'll let that go.
Yeah, I think I'm surprised with Steele. They started out well, but to get an early district loss, that's a little surprising. I think this is probably wide open with 5 teams. Honestly, I still want to give the edge to New Braunfels for what they did last year. I think they're still a great team. Clemens, I'm surprised that they tied San Marcos because I went to see them play against Kennedy, and they technically wise they were great. They touched well. They have a really good forward. He's very physical, knocks people off the ball. Kind of reminds me of Hulk from the one from Brazil. Just knocking them off and getting shots. I'm a little surprised about that tie, but this district is a little surprising. That's wide open, but I'm still giving the edge to New Braunfels. I think they're going to end up squeaking, pulling this one out. Judson, like I said, this could be the year for them to get back in the playoffs. If with Steele struggling, down the stretch. So it's going to be a wacky one. But then, like I said, they have to play the District 28 6A for the playoffs. So we'll see how they stack up with them.
Is this district? And I don't mean this in a disrespectful way, but is this district a little bit? What's the word I want to use? Kind of underperforming for here, because when you look at the records, all of them are around 500 or a losing record. Doesn't seem like there's really any dominant teams compared to other districts, where there's at least one dominant team in the district, or is it just that this district is so evenly split, with the athletes that, it's just a talent-wise, it may not have the elite teams, but you've got, I think you said five teams here, and that are really average to above average type teams. Does that make sense?
Yeah, they might. Like I said, they may be underperforming, but they've probably played some teams that are a lot tougher competition or come from real tougher districts, which is good for them because, like I said, you're going to see that in the playoffs. But I'm a little surprised. Like for me, like New Braunfels, I had for what they did the last couple of years. I already thought they would be kind of like a lot higher, especially with the record, But they did get, like I said, a good win on the for the start for district play. So I think they'll sort things out, but like I said, like I said, seeing these teams, they are underperforming, and hopefully, like I said, they'll get it together. Now that they started district play.
As you mentioned, get it worked out now during district, and if you finish in the top 4, and like I said here, we figure 2/3 of the teams will do that. Obviously, out of 6 teams, if you get hot at the playoffs, that's all that matters. So, they don't remember how you do during the regular season for the most part. Looking at 28, Lee, 5-0-2, surprisingly, for Rafa's number 1 team. Brandeis, the 4th seed, 6-0-1. Johnson, 4-1-2. Reagan Rattlers, 5-1-1. Churchill, Madison, Clark, Marshall, and then Roosevelt. This one got updated real late just because, when I was looking at mysanantonio.com, they didn't have some of the matches from yesterday, but we kind of pieced it together, so that's why. Reagan should technically be in 3rd, and Johnson should be in 4th here. And Matt's already calling you out, saying Johnson needs more respect.
Oh, you got to beat the big teams, not tie them. I said, well, last night, like I said, Johnson got a good result. I mean, they tied lead 0-0. So, I mean, that's it. I mean, you stole points from the district leader there. But in this district, you really need wins. If you want to separate yourself. But those 4 teams, in the top 4, I think those are the ones. Yeah, those are the class of the teams. I'm a little surprised with Churchill's struggling. I know they had a win yesterday. They squeaked one by Marshall 3-2.
Well, they get
Reagan
Lee and
Reagan
Madison.
had a little tough time with Roosevelt. They got by 2-0 on there. So some of these teams are not kind of rolling over. They're not going to roll over. Like I said, they're going to fight. And like I said, there's no gimmies in this district. So, but as far as, like I said, the top fours are probably going to be more likely going to be your playoff teams. But we'll see towards the second, like I said, like last year, towards the second half of the district play, we started to see who really kind of took control of that district, which was Reagan last year. So
to me, your Reagan and Brandeis is a huge match. And then,
yeah.
If you're talking about Churchill trying to get back into it, they get, at Lee and at Madison this week here. So tough week to do it for here. I think Madison, they should probably be able to do, but, to get the Rafa's number one ranking, at least based on the last power ranking here. If they can pull that off, then obviously they jump back into the discussion. But to me, that 4 versus 9 match based on last week's rank or 2 weeks ago's rankings is the match to watch in District 28.
Yeah, if Brandeis wants to kind of make a move, this is the game for them. And right now Reagan's kind of been struggling. I don't know. It's injuries. I think their top keeper's out. So I don't know about some of the pre-district plays. Like I said, I did get to see them play against Clark, and they struggled a little bit with them. And then they had that setback with Lee, that 3-0 loss. But Brandeis once again and kind of jump into into the district league. This is the game they need to win against Reagan. Make a statement here. Say, hey, we're going to contend. So this is going to be a great game. So if not do anything Friday night, head out there to go watch that game, and it's going to be intense.
29 Harlan 8-0, and then
this is everybody else.
Everybody else, you got Warren. Warren, I think it has stepped up during district play, 4-2-1, and congratulations to Warren. They beat AJ's team, the JVs from Stevens today, 2-0 in a tight match for that here. So congrats to the Warren JV boys team here. Brennan at 4-2-1, O'Connor 4-3-1, John Jay 3-3-1, Holmes 2-3-1, Taft at 2-4-1. That's kind of coming back after early struggles through here. I hate to say it, Stevens and Sotomayor probably not really having much of a shot this year unless things turn around. Although Stevens does have 3 draws, but to me it's Harlan, and who if they continue, you have to wonder if they make that stop because they were at 2 and there was a draw with Lee. If they maybe make that step, or you got Smithson Valley right on their feet, which if they pull up the wins that they have coming up this week here, that'll be an interesting discussion. But Warren, Brennan, O'Connor, John Jay, Holmes, what says the great Rafa? Or actually, before we do that, Harlan plays Taft and Brennan. John Jay plays Brennan, O'Connor. Warren plays Sotomayor and Holmes. So you figure probably 2 wins there. Taft gets Harlan.
That Jay Brennan game's going to be a tough one. That one could tell as far as and getting in the hunt with the playoffs. If John Jay can get that win over Brennan, they'll get back. They're right back in it, and actually they'll be tied. I think, with Brennan, and
man, ask this question here: do you think Soto needed time to get better or more advanced players? I know you and I kind of talked about this. I think it was after the last SAFC or San Antonio fan cast. I think I got that right for that here. Your thoughts on Sotomayor? I know we talked about them jumping directly into 6A and not having a year in 5A or maybe playing JV along those lines here, because they are a first year school and they do not have any upperclassmen, right? Or maybe a few juniors.
I think there's a couple of juniors. They're mostly freshmen and sophomores on this squad. So it's going to show they don't have the experience maybe to these other teams, but give them maybe a year, maybe about a year. Maybe next year they may improve. Like I said, since they'll have some chemistry together, I'm sure in 2 years they should be able to compete, for one of those playoff spots, and And that's, maybe they could have taken a different route, maybe playing a JV schedule this year and then jumping in next year to play varsity, kind of like what Piper did, which is, I think that's paying off for them, just to kind of build a chemistry. Even though playing a JV schedule, it still helps build chemistry with the team.
Well, plus you build that confidence of winning. And that's the thing that's that you have to worry about with the athletes here. And I know every year is a different year, but struggling through a season, I did that when I played high school sports many, many years ago. It's tough. And then to be able to kind of get that mentality, that history, that tradition of the school kind of turned around. If you can start out and let's say you have even a 500 first year against JVs, or even a little bit better than that at least gets you some confidence where, if you finish last, let's say that, they get one win or 2 wins in district, that's a little bit tough to swallow sometimes. Now it is, they are young, and I'm pretty, hopefully their coaches kind of set that expectation. Hey, saying this year's going to be a struggle. This year's about getting that experience, about learning the ropes along those lines here. But
yeah, I like I said, I think next year they'll be improved. But even playing them now, you still can't take them lightly because they can piece it together and knock you off. And especially in this district, you can't take anyone lightly, because that one loss could, we saw like last year, a loss could knock you off of a playoff spot or a seeding or even a district title. But like for this district, like I said, Harlan's, like I said, I think they're way ahead of everybody.
So they're kind of like Alamo Heights, kind of in it. I don't mean that in a disrespectful way, with the other people that are in Alamo Heights district. But going in, it was Alamo Heights and then everybody else. And then this district's kind of Harlan, at least for this year. This year's Harlan, and then everybody else, at least on the boys' side here.
Yeah. And like I said, I know the last game, Harlan struggled a little bit. Actually, they were behind. They had to come back and win. So, like I said, you can't take anybody lightly. Especially now they're going to start. I think they're a couple games away from starting the second round of district play, because they started right away early on, just like 26, like 28 6A. Harlan, if they can get some more wins, they can really kind of distance themselves. I know they play early on in that second round with Brennan and O'Connor. If they can get those quality wins, and they can probably clinch that district title out sooner, than a lot earlier than last year. So, but it's gonna be a dogfight, I think, for the last 3 playoff spots. It's gonna come down to Warren, Brent, O'Connor, Jay. I think even Holmes. Holmes is still in striking distance. I think they had a good.
Don't sleep on Taft. I'm telling you, don't sleep on Taft.
That's them too. If they can kind of piece it together too, you never know what can happen. It's about getting hot at the right time. And if you can get her out on that time and start getting that little winning streak, it's going to pay off dividends, especially getting in the playoffs.
So moving to the ladies, the District 27, New Braunfels, 1-0 in district, Shirts 1-0. East Central, Judson hasn't played, Rattlers and still lost here. Looking at their schedule here, Cibolo still plays San Marcos and East Central. Judson plays Clemens and San Marcos, so a rivalry match right off the bat for Judson and Clemens. Your thoughts on this one here? San Marcos got a tough opening slate here with Steele and Judson, or?
Yeah. Well, I'm surprised it was Steele struggling, because, like I said, I went to go see them play. I know they were missing players. There's some talent on that squad. I know they tied a really tough Valley team from Los Fresnos. They tied 0-0. I'm a little surprised they had that little setback. I think they can bounce back from it. I don't know if there was a result between East Central and Judson last night. I guess they haven't posted that, so we'll find out who won that game. I still think New Braunfels is going to be between New Braunfels and Clemens as far as the district title I'm concerned. I think those are probably your two top programs for that district. And then the last 2 playoff spots can come down. Actually, I think it may come down to those 4 teams. I think it's pretty wide, kind of like the boys. I think it's pretty wide open.
So looking at the 28, Lee 6-1, Johnson 6-1, Reagan 6-1. Then kind of a drop. Clark at 4-3-1, Brandeis 3-2-2, Madison 2-3-2, and then probably I think another drop with Churchill, Marshall, and Roosevelt. I think this is the one where Matt has a little bit more bone to kind of pick with Johnson. We're going to start to see a little bit of love for the Lady Jaguars on the next Rafa rankings.
Maybe. Well, they had a big win last night. They knocked off Lee 3-0, which is a great result for them. I don't think anybody was expecting them because the Lee girls have been playing well.
Yeah, dominating.
And they've been dominating, but to have a loss, and I saw some of the goals, which I did retweet on our Twitter page. Some great goals were scored. Great confidence booster for the Johnson Jaguars. I think they struggled early on because they had some injuries, some players out. But you're starting to see them that kind of come around in the district play, and like I said, it's a three horse race for this district title, and the fourth spot. Clark's starting to kind of, Clark struggled early on, but I think they're starting to kind of get things together. I know they're a little young this year because last year they had a really great team. I think graduation kind of hit them, but I think they're coming along, and it's going to come down to between, I think, them and Brandeis. And if you look at the schedule here, you got a big game there, Reagan and Brandeis.
Yeah.
That's a big game for Brandeis if they want to get back into the playoff hunt. I think Lee should take care of Churchill.
Mm-hmm.
Johnson, they got to be careful with Madison. Madison could surprise some teams. I think Madison's also trying to get in the mix in that, in that fourth spot. So like I said, there's probably a 3-team race between Clark, Madison, and Brandeis for that last playoff spot. And then the top three are going to be your contenders for that district title.
Moving to 29, TAPPS, your number one team, still undefeated, 11-1. The Lady O'Connor Panthers, 11-3, 6-1. Brendan Bears, 5-2. Warren and Sotomayor on the ladies' side being very competitive, 4-3. For that here, John J, Holmes, Stevens, and Harlan. If I remember right, Sotomayor pulled quite a bit from Harlan, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's probably where you're seeing some of that. Because Harlan previous years had been fairly consistent, up at the top, and this year,
yeah, they were a playoff team last year.
Well, they went deep last year.
No, they lost in the first round last year to Del Rio, which is a game they should have.
That was a surprising. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that was a game they should have won. I think they outplayed them. They just couldn't score. And I think this is the same situation. I've seen them a couple of times. They're having trouble scoring, creating opportunities and so forth. And maybe also like I said, the graduation and also with the Sotomayor opening maybe took away some of their talented players. Because if you can see, Sotomayor's doing actually pretty good for a first year. And I did see them play against Brennan this past Saturday. Live streamed that game. Brennan, yeah, they had a big win over Sotomayor, but you can tell Sotomayor has some talent. It's just that they don't have the experience, and they ran into an experienced team. Especially like with O'Connor and also Taff, but that's expected. But they have a big game coming up, and this could determine who gets that last spot on that, and that's the game versus Warren.
And yes, AJ, Stevens, both on the girls and the boys' sides, aren't looking good so far. So, I hate to say that, buddy, but and thanks for watching, AJ, for that here. But yeah, the Lady Falcons, both struggling season for them as well here. Playoff wise, did we look at the schedule? Taft and Brennan.
Yeah, Taft should take care of Harlan. Same thing with Brennan versus Jay. But you see that game there this weekend, Warren versus Sotomayor. Whoever wins that game is going to take that fourth spot and have that head-to-head towards the end. That's going to be probably the key games. I think Sotomayor and Warren, I think they'll have no problem winning again, as far as in the second round of district play, taking care of business with Jay, Holmes, Stevens, and Harlan. But I think they'll have, like I said, it's going to be a tall matches. Yeah, it's the head-to-head matches, and then also, if Warren or Harlan or Warren or Sotomayor can get even a result like a tie with either Taft or O'Connor or Brennan, that's going to help them, get some points up to, steal some points to get them in there to lock into that 4 spot.
And AJ mentions that the Stevens varsity team is mostly sophomores, for that here. So
keep an eye on that. So next year could be, yeah. I mean, you have young teams. You're gonna take your lumps, but you're gonna learn. You're gonna learn, and they could be the breakout team next year.
Yeah, and like I said here, it depends on injuries and transfers. Mm-hmm. People moving in. Especially where we're a military city. People moving into the neighborhood. I know. We have a lot of military members that live in our neighborhood, so people moving in, people moving out, that can change dynamics. Coaching as well. I know on the boys' side, they lost one of the top coaches in the area to Smithson Valley, and the current coach is good, but not at that same level, for that here. So, but I'm a firm believer, especially at the high school level and club level. Coaching matters a lot, especially helping develop, the boys and girls to reach their potential, especially if they work well with the club teams here. So, Rafa,
maybe one of those teams might want to snatch me up for next year or something.
Well, I think you're working on your teaching certificate, I believe is what you were saying, or you were getting ready to fire that up for the here. Not that you're not unhappy at your current job location with UH Victoria.
We're cool with them.
Along those lines here. So not that he's looking for a job publicly by any means, but for that here. So Rafa, it's at 80 minutes, a little bit over 80 minutes here. We don't want to go extra time here. Super Bowl Sunday. I don't think we're having a show on Sunday. I don't believe this week here as far as for
rating news.
Yeah, so far,
unless we get a player signing.
We're at day 6. Not that I'm counting, but I almost tweeted day 6. Tomorrow will be a week here, so I'll give.
Unless we talk about the Jordan Fark commercial.
Is there a commercial out there?
Yeah,
I saw his tweet. Yeah, his tweeting a little bit lost.
Him with eating the what's it called the beef jerky. The beef jerky. Yeah, those tank tops and those shorts. I guess you got those from Di Lorenzo or Nacho.
So Super Bowl Sunday, you got to pick.
Yeah, I hate the Eagles. I hate the Eagles. I don't want them to give it a Patrick Mahomes.
You're a Cowboys fan.
Yeah,
I won't see. I'm the opposite.
Yeah, because they're
fan. I don't like the Chiefs. So, and I'm not a fan of the Cowboys. So, hey, fly Eagles fly. Wouldn't hurt my. But yeah, I do like Pat Mahomes. Like I said, here he's class. It'll be interesting to see what Hurts does. Andy Reid's, like I said, I think we'll go down in history as one of the all-time great coaches as well. Especially
he's playing his old team too.
Yeah. So, looking at the numbers, should be a fairly close Super Bowl. For that here, I know AJ's already picked finger foods, wings, pizza, and taquitos for that here. So I know that's what we'll be doing with the big game and watching the commercials, and then afterwards because it's on Fox's the Ramsey cooking show Next Level, where you place on there, and we enjoyed it last year, so we're looking forward to Super Bowl Sunday. I think it's a pick'em game for that here.
Is this the first time we have two quarterbacks from the state of Texas face each other? From high school?
First time 2 African American QBs. Mm-hmm. First time in a while, 2 number 1 seeds as well, I think.
Yeah.
For that here. Been the 2 best teams. Mm-hmm. The Bills were had a shot, but unfortunately no running game outside of the quarterback. You got to have a complete team. And
yeah, we'll send them Zeke. We'll dump his contract to them.
Well, he's getting dumped one way or another, right?
Yeah.
So, but anything soccer-wise outside of that tier? I know you mentioned the Club World Cup, and that Real Madrid advanced to the final, I believe it is.
Yeah, next Saturday.
They played one match and get to advance. I think everybody expects them to win that here. That seems like whoever wins Champions Leagues is the favorite to win that tournament, right?
Yeah. I was surprised Flamengo lost. They're the Copa Libertadores champs.
But I think they're expanding that though, going forward, right? To where there's a little bit more.
32 teams, I think, or 24.
Something like that. Because right now it's an afterthought, and the thing that kind of threw me off a little bit was not that I'm a Real Madrid fan, but they played Saturday or Sunday. And I'm assuming it was probably either a B or C side, most likely, because most of the A team I'm assuming is probably at the World Club.
Actually, Benzema didn't play this game. He's out with an injury.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
So, but Rafa has been fun. Like I said, we'll do this we may do this twice next week, right? We'll have the normal show. We'll probably kind of abbreviate the schedule for that here and go more into the Rafa rankings. Along those lines here. So we may not have the full schedule, or we might go through it a little bit quicker. And then we'll have the Rafa rankings either before or after for that here, depending on how things set up here. But if you have any questions, for us, please reach out to Rafa along those lines. Any coaches, any admin want to kind of, want to talk about your program, please reach out to us. We're not shy, and we'd love to have guests on for that here if it's convenient for you. We're typically going to record either Wednesdays or Thursdays for most weeks, depending on Rafa's schedule and AJ's club schedule here along those lines here. But Rafa, any final thoughts before we let you out of here?
No, like I said, looking forward to some key games this weekend, and then Monday I'll be on the 50-50 with the new RPIs for the state. There were some upsets statewide too, so that there'll be some shakeups there as well.
Without giving any secrets away, how is San Antonio doing statewide?
They need to get better. That's what I'm saying. They need to get better. Dallas is stealing too much of the show. So. And then we're also going to do a preview of Region 3. So we're going to talk about the Houston area as well. And then we'll finish up, I think, in a couple of weeks with Region 4.
So Region 3 historically does not do well, right?
They've have in the past, but lately,
recently?
Like I said, recently they haven't. And it's been dominated mostly by Region 1 or 2, and us. There's always been either a Dallas Metroplex team or a San Antonio team, San Antonio Austin area tier team in the final, and that's surprising too, because Houston being a big metropolitan area,
and they're a soccer city. I know.
Yeah.
If you go out and not talking about MLS and Dynamo but they have a lot of the UPSL teams. They have a lot of, the lower league teams. They also, if you go out, most, Sunday league teams, most of the soccer fields are full. So it's not like that they're not playing soccer over there.
Yeah.
In Houston. So, I don't know if it's a coaching thing or what it is, but to me, that's been, since we've started this, Houston's never equaled the weight of the Dallas Fort Worth area, for that here, which to me is a little bit shocking, but knowing that there is all the talent in Houston, that there is, because every other sport they're very dominant, and whether it's basketball, football, track and field, baseball, along those lines, soccer seems to be, at least on the boys' side, I think, even on the girls' side, they don't perform as well either, right?
Yeah, it's been a while since they've had. So, I think the last team that made the final was actually, I think, Kingwood Park, which I get to see play here during that kind of the short COVID season, or that short COVID. They had to play the home and away kind of neutral sites for the state semifinals. But you got quality teams over there, especially like the boys' side. You got the Woodlands, College Park. Seven Lakes is, one of, I think they're.
Katie's the one that shocks me, because Katie's loaded with talent, and somehow yet they never. So at this point, they haven't been able to finish it.
Because they had for a stretch. I remember back when I was coaching, they had at least a team from that district made the final, I think it was 1 year to Katy and then Seco Ranch and Morton Ranch. It's kind of dropped down because I think now that they have 10 schools, it's kind of spread out a lot of the talent. But still, you have dynamite teams. Like I said, Katy's Seven Lakes is one of the best teams there. And then even the 5A level, you got teams like Friendswood, and you got, so I'm trying to think of some of the other teams up north, some of the spring teams. And, like I said, even Kingwood and so forth, the Galena Parks, So I'm still a little surprised that they've kind of, not kind of matched, been like a contender and so forth, but who knows, things can change, because I know the Metroplex has been the dominant area, even at TAPPS too. So
yeah,
so we'll see if with us, San Antonio, Austin, trying to catch up. Even though we've had some state champions, like I said, the last 6 state champions have been from Region 4, which has been Lake Travis and Lee. So the talent, like I said, I think our teams match well in the 6A level, 5A level. Like I said, we had Bernie Champion go up there for the girls. Dripping Springs boys made it last year, So, and then 4A, like I said, we have the Bernie boys here and also the Bernie girls. And then the year before, I think we had I think it was Corpus Christi Cat Allen. So, they've been successful against the Houston area. So we'll see if that changes in the next few years.
Well, for us, hopefully not, because typically we do face each other. The two Region 3, Region 4 typically do face each other here. But Rafa, it was a pleasure hanging out with you tonight. Like I said here, we'll look forward to do this a couple of times next week for that here. And like I said here, just be advised, probably no San Antonio fan cast this week, because normally our show's on Sunday, unless there is some big news where maybe a Saturday or Monday type thing. But I think I think that might be filling up for me on that here. So, but hope everybody has a great Super Bowl Sunday. Be safe. Just keep in mind, cops are also out on the road, so please don't drink and drive if you do go to a Super Bowl party. This
Uber.
is one of those Uber, Lyft, whatever, designate a friend that's through here, because this is one of those weeks like New Year's and stuff like that the police are out at a higher number, making sure everybody is safe. So please be careful. Hope everybody has a great day. And what's life without goals? We're out.